Well, hey everybody there, it's HeapCVA. Welcome to my channel. I mean literally welcome to my channel, because that's what you're seeing right now on the screen if you're looking at this video. It makes a good backdrop for what I want to talk about, and I hope I don't take too long. Something had popped up while I was doing my usual scanning of the forums on Steam, both for emergency and for some of the other games that I keep an eye on. And I thought it had come over to my channel, the same question, and there was no visual to give the individuals that asked me the question what to look at as I was trying to describe how to get the information I needed from them to move further along in helping them with their problem. If that makes sense, you know. One of the most common questions asked earlier in the evolution of Emerge NYC, especially to me, looked pretty obvious. It would have been younger people that are new to using computers, or somebody that had moved over to a computer from a console. And I have a couple of people that are more at my age range that are still learning about computers. And they would have an issue, whether it was Emerge NYC or another game title. And one of my first questions I almost always ask when somebody has problems, as long as it's hardware based, not software, is what are the specs of your computer? And which is a pretty broad question and requires a pretty broad bucket full of information that has to be narrowed down to the individual, because all of us may have a gaming computer or a laptop gaming system or a Mac, but honestly, if we took mine and yours and 20 other people that are on my channel and went and met somewhere with our stuff and set it all side by side, what we all think is the same could be so different it's not funny. So it's not fair to group everybody into the same pile when it comes to trying to fix computer issues. Even a computer made by the same manufacturer that in appearance is identical could be different under the hood, if you will. A different builder, different components. I mean, you never know. So you're really not doing anybody any favors if you just make assumptions, and I try not to do that. So let's talk about Steam-based games, because that's pretty much all I do anymore, to be honest with you. I do have some CD-based games. Almost all of my Call of Duty games, I buy the full set. I could buy them off of Steam, but I don't. Don't ask me why. My kids used to buy them for me because they thought that's what I wanted. This last iteration of COD, I begged him not to buy it for me. And so I got a stack of Steam gift cards, which is a pretty good, cool deal. And that's how I got some of the games that I'm fooling around with now. So anyway, I'm getting off track. Let's go to Steam. And I want to show you a thing or two. The first thing I want to talk about is that question that I ask when you're having trouble. And usually the first thing I'm going to say is I need to know the specifications of your computer. And I don't care if it's IBM based or a Mac. Most of the hardware is similar. Macs have a few special items, but I can find that answer. If I don't know it off the top of my head, I promise you, because it's how I got through my career, if you don't have the answer, you better find it. And you better find the right answer, and you better find it soon. And I'm just trained to do it that way. Been trained to do it that way for years. And so helping people that contact me through my channel or through Steam, it's natural to me. So when somebody says, well, where do I get the specs for my computer? And that's a short term for specification, is almost everybody says spec. So you've got to have Steam running. It's usually, most people set Steam to run automatically when you start your computer. And I am in the tab marked library. So what you're seeing right now is the ones that are bright white. These grayed ones are games that I own, but they are not loaded on this computer. They may be loaded on another computer. A couple of these are on my gaming laptop, which I thought was going to be a great idea early 2 years ago. But I really don't like that kind of a keyboard. Unless you can find something where you can set the keyboard down in a hole, my wrists were always at a goofy angle. So I'm back to a desktop. I have both. I mean, when I travel, I can take the other one, but that's not what we're talking about. Where do you find the stuff that not only relates to your computer itself, but how it works hand in hand, with Steam? These little tiny, for me they are, I don't know, yours might be a little larger, tabs at the top where it says Steam, View, Friends, Games, Help. Click the Help button and it drops down a small menu that's divided into 3 groups. In the third group, the top one is System Information. Click on that. And you're going to watch it. Some people it takes longer than others. Download what would be, like I've said, I think in other videos, several pages of information. Because what it's doing is saying this computer is this as it relates to playing games. So if we talk about mine, of course it doesn't know what the system manufacturer is because, you know, it's aftermarket. This is the first one I haven't built in many years. I had it built for me when I was having problems seeing. Fortunately, all that stuff is done and over with. Honestly, just because it's me, I kind of wish I'd built my own, so I could say I built my own. I have an Intel. It's a i7-6700 CPU. These other things that are in here, you're like, well, what does all that mean? Well, it wasn't probably such a big deal until Emerge NYC published in their minimum specs that you should have a minimum of 4 cores in your CPU. Well, it's been a while since I've had a game with only 4 cores, but some people don't. And some laptops don't have 4-core CPUs. And this game requires them for the sheer volume of stuff that's in the game. You see it in the buildings, the graphics, the sounds, etc., etc. And that's only going to get worse. And so that's one of the places where I can figure out right away, you don't have a CPU with enough power to run this game. And I'm using Emerge NYC as an example, but it is not the only program in existence on my computer or in Steam that has the same issue. So we keep going down a little bit. Some of these things, I don't even know what they mean. I usually don't think that Windows 10 or Windows 7 or 8.1 or 8 is as big an issue. Although 8 and 8.1 weren't anybody's favorite, it would still run games. The next thing is the video card. If I don't see this listed and we're talking about Emerge NYC, it's the next stop on my discussion with somebody about why a game won't play, or a tech demo in this case. Now, my 980 Ti is pretty good. It was at the top of its the list when I purchased the computer. The 1080 is overtaken it now, and I'm not going to spend that much money right this minute. Some people are using the video that's on their motherboard, which is Intel. It's in the CPU. Many times that works fine. But if you've played EM4, Emergency 4, or 911 First Responders with mods, you found out the hard way that some mods won't play using the Intel video that's on the motherboard. Guess what? Emerge NYC really needs a little more than what that motherboard, even if you've got a really good motherboard. I'm not sure, I haven't tried it. I'm not sure my i7 with its internal graphics system would run Emerge NYC very well, if at all. Everybody's computer is going to act just a little different. We find that out every day we go to the forums. Don't point fingers at anybody else, because there's probably an issue you're not aware of yet on your own version. So anyway, if we scan down, this shows me if you have a video card, whether you've updated your drivers and all that stuff. I just updated mine. One of the other things that's really a big deal is what kind of resolutions you've got, how big your display sizes are, and this one right here where it says primary VRAM, which I've got 6,000 megabytes, 6 megabytes, which is pretty good. I mean, I've got another computer that's still got my 770. I can't even remember the number anymore. I honestly don't even look in that case. When it was the hot setup when I was doing online gaming in clans, and it had 2, and we were doing high fives everywhere because it was such a strong card. I can tell you, and they've published it on the forum several times, that you need a minimum of 4 megs on a video card just to play Emerge NYC, and 4 is at the ragged edge of not enough. 6 right now, until it gets optimized and gets everything fixed, is actually sometimes not enough, especially lately now that multiplayer's in. As we scan down, I remember the days when everybody had a sound card. Now most everybody uses what's on the motherboard, which is I do too. And then your regular physical memory, your RAM, I've got 16 megs. Have a minimum of 4. Don't go below that. Just remember that if you don't have a video card and you're using the Intel video, the graphics that's internal, and you have 4 megs, your memory is sharing your video. Internal video is sharing that memory with the motherboard. And so you don't really have 4 megs. You have less than 4 megs because some of that is allocated to the video. Where if you have a separate card, it can bypass that. So just so you know that up front. And the rest is about stuff like getting stuff from Facebook, which I can't turn this notification off no matter how hard I try. How much storage you got, how much free storage you have, stuff like that. I don't have any game controllers installed because if you try to use a controller with Emerge NYC, you're going to find out the hard way that it's not supported yet. So anyway, that's where you get that info. Now, you can click to the left of the first word and it doesn't show anything. Scroll down using the scroll bar and hold the shift key down and click on the past the last word. And even though it's not showing, if you use Control C, which is the keyboard command for copy, you should be able to copy that info and paste it into a message in Steam, or print it to a document, either WordPad or Word or whatever you use. If not, write down the important ones, and then you can close this out. So that's where the system info, the system info that I need to help you with, that's where I'm hoping you'll go look to find it. While we're in here, let's talk about one other thing you should look at if you're having problems. And I'll use Emerge NYC as an example because in the last 3 days they pushed 3 hot fixes, if you will, or updates. Notice that 0.3.3 came out today. Haven't had a chance to even touch it yet. If I right click on that and you go down to properties, and I just right clicked on the name, don't right click over here or hit the play button, go to the left far side of the screen and go down to properties and click on that. That gets you 3 tabs that you should at least know where they are and what their basic function is. The first tab, which says General, talks about launch options and shortcuts. It's up to you whether you create a desktop shortcut or not. Updates is relatively important, especially the top one up here. I have Emerge NYC set to high priority because I was having a problem with it catching every update or patch. Even though I restart my computer a couple times a day because of programs I use. You should prioritize your updates. And then the last one is one that a lot of people overlook, but it's actually pretty important. And that is these tabs here. You can look at local files, which you rarely have to do. You can back up game files if you think you're having problems and you may have to reinstall something. You can uninstall a game from here. You don't have to use Windows thing, and you probably shouldn't for Steam. And the very bottom tab here, the bottom button, is the one that I want to talk about. I'm going to push on it, and you're going to watch it do what it says here, which is verify the integrity of the game files. So if I click on that, little screen pops up, and unless you have some massive game file on here, it will verify and validate these files pretty quick. And what it's doing is it's checking the files that are on your hard drive against what it has in their version of the cloud, to make sure that they relatively match. Is it 100%? I would say no. Now, I just got an all files successfully validated, which means good things happened. If you get something that says X number of files failed to validate, what that does is Steam will download those when you try to play the game the next time. If Steam fails to do that, which happens occasionally, you need to know how to close Steam out. So that takes care of that. So let me bring this up. I'm going to bring Steam right over the top of it. And under here, those little tiny words that are up at the top, you can click on Steam and go to the bottom where it says exit, and it will quit Steam. And whether there is a button here, which I have, or you did a shortcut, which I also have, you can get Steam to restart. And what it does is it checks itself for updates, just for Steam itself, and then it makes sure, as it looks in the file under downloads, if it'll let me do it, seriously, whether or not it's caught any updates. And because this is listed, it told me that it caught an update somewhere. And notice that my auto downloads are limited to 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. I don't go to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to interrupt anything. I might be rendering a video. I don't want this to get in the way of that. So that's how that's done as well. So I had another version of this video cut, and I noticed that one of the files didn't validate. So I've started Steam again, just regular. I didn't restart. And it caught that one file that didn't validate. So the success is what you saw in this version, which is I didn't have any that failed to validate. So that's that in a nutshell. This is very Steam focused. You know, like I said, if you go to community, and I hope you're doing this a lot, especially with Emerge NYC, and if you're playing Notrif 112, and even 911 Operator, I'm in these every day for at least an hour. Now, I used to do a lot of responding to different questions on these boards. I've kind of backed off. They have, like Emerge NYC, they have a guy now that's doing that. Is it his #1 priority, and is he an expert at it? Probably not. But I don't need to do that. And like I've said a half dozen times in some previous videos, the micro trolling kind of ruins it as far as trying to be helpful. There's more people that just want to blow off steam because this thing's not going the way they want it to go. I get it, but rather than get all upset about it, I just stay away and go play games. I'd rather play games any time of the day or night. So, but I'm always in these. And, you know, if you go to one, let's go to Notrif so we're not just talking about Emerge NYC. Every day, this is the first thing I do is come to the All tab in their individual page, which Steam assigns them a page because they're a game, to look to see what the latest info is. Because their newest patches or updates or anything will show up here if they are one of those kind of companies that notifies people that they're doing that. Then I go to the discussions, and like I said, Notrif is interesting because much of it, wow, I can't speak English. How can I worry about speaking German? Much of what Notrif is in is German, which takes a whole lot longer for me to read. So if we go back to community, you can look at 911 Operator. They haven't had an update, although they've snuck some other things in, just so you know. And back to Emerge NYC. I wish you could have more than the last 4 that you accessed. Here's the announcement that there's a 0.3.3 update. I haven't tried it out yet. That's for tomorrow. I've got to get the 911 Operator video done because of open broadcast software cut me off at the knees, shutting down behind the scenes where I didn't realize it until I went to render the video and found out that it only recorded about 2 minutes worth. So it didn't match the 30 minutes of audio I had. Disappointed, but you know, life goes on. So that's how to get that information so that I can help you with the Steam-based games that I'm mostly doing. If you have any other questions, hit me up in the comments for this particular video. Thanks so much for coming by my channel. I really appreciate it. I can't say that enough. I wish I could print it and put it on a sign that waves as you come to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a repeat customer, so to speak, you're welcome. Welcome, 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 etc. I'm glad to have the people coming to my channel that I do. I don't look at the numbers that much. I look at the people, and I love trading info back and forth. I like talking to people. If nothing else, just saying hi. And I can say, for this video, if you have any comments, questions, or other things, please leave them for me. I try to get to them within 48 hours, max. Unless I leave town for a couple weeks like I just did. If you don't have a comment, no problem. If you could leave me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, lets me know if I'm doing a good job or I'm doing a terrible job. I see the thumbs down. That gets me to go back and look and listen at everything I've been doing recently to see if I've made a mistake somewhere, or maybe there's a hardware problem that's making my videos come out bad. And, and I know we will see each other, or at least trade info with each other in the next video. I wish you all the best. Hope you're having a great day or great evening wherever you're on the planet. And and I know, I'll see you in the next video, and you guys have a great week. Take care.